Welcome to episode 6 of this DP Animation Maker series. Today I will show you how to animate a wrecked sci-fi spacecraft scene like the one you see here. We will explore some new brushes, animate smoke, and cover other cool techniques to bring our static images to life. Open DP Animation Maker software, click on Change Background, and upload your image. Alternatively, you can follow along and get all the images I use from my Discord server for free. Next, go to Brushes and select a flow brush, then click Apply Selected Animation and close the window. I want to add a subtle animation to the dust here, so I'm clicking only on the areas with smoke, not other parts, because it would look strange if part of the ship moved. In the properties, you can adjust the speed to make it move slower. You can also tweak the distance so it doesn't move too much, just a little. You can click on a few places and try to move it, or you can create a scene without the dust and add animation on top. In the direction section, you can adjust which way the flow should move. You can also use the eraser if you selected parts that shouldn't move or if it causes glitches. You could apply the animation to the clouds as well, but keep in mind that objects in the distance will appear to move slower because they take a longer time to travel from left to right. If needed, you can undo the action and select the flow brush again. Now, you have control over that portion and can slow down the speed and distance to better fit the scene. I really enjoy this process of bringing an image to life step by step. It's kind of relaxing. You can also add animations from the list of available effects. For example, I can add this fog, which will cover the entire scene. However, I want it to be smaller and only affect the area around the spacecraft. Right now, the fog is too white and doesn't fit the environment well, so I'll adjust the color properties to find a better fit, maybe a warm light brown. You also have control over the fog's size and speed. Just keep in mind that this controls the size of the fog particles, not the area. Be sure to save your project so you don't lose your work. You can save periodically with Ctrl+S. Go to Brushes again, and this time let's try a newly introduced brush called the Sand brush. Apply that animation and paint the area where you want to pick up some sample colors. And from that area, sand will emerge. You can hide the mask to see it better and paint a few more areas where the sand should start. There are plenty of settings you can experiment with, so try different options and see what works best for your scene. You can also adjust the speed, acceleration, and duration. Just keep in mind that there's a delay because the particles are generated, so you'll see old particles on screen and new particles will start from that point. Make sure to change a setting and wait a little for it to take effect. Go to Animation again, and this time, let's add some animation to the ship. We have different types of electric discharge, and I will add version 3. Here you'll see some handles that you can drag to control the area and direction of where the electric discharge happens. Try to find a position that works. I'm thinking of making it go downward and placing it in this area of the ship to suggest a malfunction. From the settings, I can adjust it to fit a little better, so it's not too big. You can also change the colors. Now let's add another electric discharge, this time version 2. This one has 2 points and a path, so I can move it around and make it happen between 2 points. I found a spot on the ship where it seems to fit well. Play around with the settings to see what works best. Make it smaller, change the color, and have some fun with it. I want the fog to be on top of all the other layers, so I use the arrows to move it up, ensuring it's above the electricity in the ship. Looks good so far. Let's see what other animations we can add. How about this explosion? It has some fire coming out from time to time, so maybe I can place it in this hole on the ship. Keep in mind that you can import frame-by-frame animations so you can add your own explosions if you want. If there's fire, we could also add some smoke. I will select the first version of smoke and move it to the same spot as the hole on the ship. I can change the width to cover more area. From the wind settings, you can adjust the direction of the wind so it matches the direction I used for the sand. For the color, I'll make it black, like the smoke from burning oil or fuel. I might make it more transparent and move it behind the fire to make the fire more visible. But of course, there are more smoke versions to choose from. Let me show you another one that's interesting. For example, I like smoke version 5. If I add that, you'll see there are points and a path with anchors that I can adjust to control the direction of the smoke. This is really useful. For the color, this version has a gradient. You can select one color from the gradient and change it, then adjust the other end of the gradient. I'll use a dark gray or black color. You can also make it more transparent to fit the scene. Smoke can be useful in many situations to bring your images to life, like in a scene with a train or a cottage in the forest. So many possibilities. Let's see what else we can add. If you scroll down to the airbrushes, you'll find one called Twinkling Stars. With that, you can paint certain parts to add stars. From the properties, you can adjust the size of the stars. I'll place them on top so they don't interfere with other animations, and I'll use a white color to match the other stars in the scene. You can also adjust the frequency of the stars. Now, I want an animation for the flying drone. There's one called Searchlight that looks interesting. This one has a point and a direction. I can move the starting point to be on my drone and then adjust the direction so it looks like it's searching to fix the spacecraft. The amplitude is too large, so I'll reduce that. I can also adjust the length and width. For color, I'll use a blue shade to match the light on the drone. You can make it more transparent if needed or change the blending mode. Next, let's see if I can move the drone slightly using some movement brushes, like this drift brush. I'm painting the area of the ship, but you can see it looks strange because we're only affecting the background and the searchlight is on top of the background. So I'm applying the animation to the entire scene. I want to move it up and down a little. I'll also reduce the amplitude so it doesn't affect the searchlight too much. For the type, I'll select random, so it has subtle, random movement up and down. I'll make sure to paint the entire drone and the area around it to capture the full movement. Since the background is a simple color, this works well, but if the background were more complicated or had a building, you'd notice some distortion in that background. But what if we want a ship to fly around? We can do that. Click on Import, then open Image. I have here only 2 frames of a drone on a transparent background. One has the red light on, and one has it off, like those red flickering lights you see on airplanes at night. So I select those 2 images and open them. Then I click on the Continue button. Next, I select a one-way path, just like we did in the previous episode with the flying bird, and click on Finish Import. If I click on the image properties, I can change the animation speed, which controls how fast it moves from one frame to another, as you can see with that red flickering light. You can also change the size of the image to make the drone smaller. I like to start outside the scene and finish on the other side of it, with the drone then coming back. This allows me to adjust the paths and anchors, making some turns. Those turns are not visible, so you can create a longer path outside the scene, allowing it to stay longer before entering again. Then it moves to the other side. You can change the orientation to make it look like it's turning back, so it has the right direction. For speed, you can type in a large number, so it moves really fast, giving you an idea of where it travels on the screen along the path and how it looks. Of course, you can always adjust the path. For example, if you don't want it to look like it's colliding with another spacecraft, you can make it go around. Once you are happy with the result, adjust the speed to a more normal rate. Then you can export the video as an MP4, PNG sequence, or create GIF animations. I use these settings, and now we have options that allow you to save your preferred settings so it doesn't ask each time you export. It loads those settings as the default. I requested this function from the creators, and they introduced it. Thank you for that. And that's all for today. If you found something useful, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. With your support, I might be able to monetize it and create even more tutorials for you. Don't forget to check out the Discord server. Thank you for watching and have a great day.